I'd like to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with me tonight. And for the music, I'd like to thank Mr. Nelson Riddle.
This is Jonathan Schwartz with Nelson Riddle. And I'm going to play an arrangement of yours now, which just reeks with passion, wit, and it's so damn sexy, too. Just to show quite clearly that all of those ingredients can emerge from a studious, somewhat reserved fellow.
When you're alone, who cares for starlit skies?
Now, of course, that's Nelson Riddle's arrangement for Ella. That section of the recording where it's the Nelson Riddle show, it seems to me a man as ubiquitous as you, as an arranger through the years, would have trouble staying away from that. The danger of repetition would be in your mind.
Absolutely.
At the writing table.
Oh, sure. Nevertheless, when you're on a speed thing, when you have to move fast, for whatever reason, you tend to reach toward tricks that are tried and true. They can ruin your work because of the triteness, or they can add to your signature.
Yes, absolutely, and that's what, of course, they did. Let me ask you to define, in your own words, exactly what's going on there.
Oh, that's sort of a bouncy kind of a figure behind Ella singing When Your Lover Is Gone. And then the unmistakable quasi-got you under my skin crescendo afterwards. And incidentally, the interplay of trombones, I'll give as much credit as I remember to give, because I think that all of us borrow. And that's all right, because some of the people we borrowed from also borrowed. And the people who come after us shouldn't be maligned for borrowing from us, because we borrowed it to begin with. It's passed on down the line. I remember a Stan Kenton record called North by Northwest, and that trombone back and forth thing he used in that record, and I was always fascinated by it. And I tried to somehow find an equivalent that I could use behind singers, and that was my version.
You mentioned the word borrow. Don't you hear yourself in many other arrangers?
Yes, I do. We are ourselves when we mirror the people whom we admire, and hopefully we contribute some of ourselves to some of the material that we borrow. We certainly don't borrow it in its entirety and pass it on in its entirety. We make a certain deposit of our own. We make an investment of our own selves and our own personality before passing it on. And hopefully the next person, it's almost like a pyramid club. We hope that the next person will also put a couple of bucks in the envelope before they in turn pass it on to the next, because that verges on creativity. If you can't kid yourself that you're involved in some sort of creativity, why then life can be pretty dull.
But Nelson, I have always felt that in American popular music, basically speaking, there were four figures who thought of something new that had never been done before. Louis Armstrong, Sinatra, Billie Holiday, and you. From the time you were first heard from, American popular music has never been the same. Nor will it be. You supplied vocabulary during your travels, and that cannot be denied.
Well, it's magnificent company to keep, and I accept your offer of membership to the club.
The first Nelson Riddle album that I became aware of was an album of the score of Oklahoma.
Not heard the score to Oklahoma ever. All I did was take it from a book.
How is that possible?
It's easy. You just avoid going to see a musical comedy, that's all.
Well, you were living on the coast.
I was living on the coast, and all we got was road shows out there anyway. You couldn't avoid it in New York City, but I was able to avoid it from that vantage point. And so some of my interpretations of the songs bore little or no resemblance to what was going on in the cast album, which may have partly accounted for the stunning lack of sales.
That's Nelson Riddle. You and the Night and the Music. You know that section, Nelson, when you go da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da?
Sexy Father, partly, isn't it?
He wrote the melody, yeah.
Yeah.
But he didn't write da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And when I played it for Howard Dietz, the lyric writer, he listened to it, and when it got to that portion of the record, he said, too many syllables.
Well, of course. Of course.
Too many syllables.
That was Juan Tizo, the former trombone player with Duke Ellington.
You used him a lot.
Yes, I did. He has a very exotic sound on that valve trombone.
But you know, it's not Juan Tizo on the famous trombone solo on I've Got You Under My Skin. Can you tell me who it is?
Milt Bernhardt.
Sacrifice anything, come what might, for the sake of having you near, in spite of a warning voice that comes in the night and repeats how it yells in my ear.
Now, as it happens, Nelson Riddle, you were there that night. Was it a night?
Yes, he always liked to record at night.
Would you tell us anything you can remember about the recording of that arrangement with that singer?
I was living at 3853 Carbon Canyon Road in Malibu, and it was apparently a work of pressure because I had to stay up quite late one night and finish it. That much I remember. That was 1956.
As you wrote the arrangement, could you clearly hear an orchestra playing it in your head?
One always does.
Totally.
I work from the piano, which is a form of a crutch, Jonathan. But in truth, I can really hear the instruments. And when I try to find harmonies or a line or something on the piano, I almost do as well if I have a table near the piano. Strangely enough, can look at the keys. To look at them gives me the feel of it. But yes, you can hear the orchestra.
A naive notion on my part, but didn't you say to yourself, wow, this is awfully good?
No, I probably said, wow, isn't it nice to be able to have finished it in time?
'Cause I've got you under my skin. Yes, I've got